It's always a pleasure to be a part of the ETBFSI events. I think, the kind of the ideas and things that you come up with is something which is very, very interesting. And the people whom come and share their views is also very, very enriching. So even though we have been in this industry for some time, every time we attend these kind of seminars, we always look at what are the additional inputs we could get and how we could enhance our. So I think even this one was, especially the next 10 years of insurance that you have looked at. It's like everybody keeps on gazing the crystal ball, but what actually would come out is something which is very, very interesting. See, I personally feel currently we are in an age where there is going to be a huge surge in the insurance, whether you look at life, non life, health. I had the privilege of handling life also and now non life segment. Never before has the industry seen such kind of enablers, I may put it in that way, from the government side, from the regulator's side, everything making things simple. Okay, so ease of governance, what government says is what exactly the regulator has said. The ease of doing business. The industry had a lot of things earlier. The products were for file and use that has now been become use and file. The earlier one, rule based, has now become principle based. So a lot of these changes are happening at very, very fast thing. And all this is going to help the industry in the next 10 years. Especially the mission which the regulator has given all of us, which is insurance to all by 2047. That was not just what should I say, publicity stunt or maybe a mission for namesake, but it has definite milestones to achieve. And one of the things what initially the regulator did was that they gave states to individual companies, one or two states to manage, and then go deeper into that and be the leader for that particular segment and take the other people with you so that you can go. So you will find that each company will have its own, how should I say, speciality, either in terms of line of business or in terms of distributive models that are there and all that. So one company cannot go to the last mile. So how do you take the entire ecosystem of insurance, be it life, be it non-life, be it health, and then get into that? So I feel the next 10 years is going to be very, very interesting, number one. Number two, if we have to get into that last mile, and when I say last mile, it's the last citizen of of the country which is residing in the villages. How do you go there? What is the method of going there? Yes, bank assurance is one of the thing, because today I think people are very comfortable buying product from the bank branches, because that's something which has now grown over a period of almost more than a decade, and people are comfortable talking and discussing with them, and the faith and the trust that they have in the banker is actually taking this product high. The PMJGBY, which was introduced, PMSBY, again, it was to the banking channel. So obviously, the bank channel has, I would put it this way, that bank channel has given a lot of impetus to insurance in the country post 2015 that we are looking at. How do I go further? How do I go further and then ensure that instead of just getting one, we have all the segments getting, and that I think is where the Bima Vistar and the Bima Vahak and Sugam is going to make, and all this is going to be on technological platform. Bima Vahak is the distributor. We are looking to see how we can have a women-centric distribution model in the rural areas. Now, in India, fortunately, there has been a fantastic movement called SHGs, self-help groups. Now, these SHGs have created a huge chain and a very well maintained kind of a thing in the villages. Can we get those people who have 12th 10th pass, who can do small understanding of the insurance, go house to house and do. Now this will be the physical kind of distribution model that is there, but can it take care of doing the transactions physically? No. So you need a technological background for it. So how technology will, let's say, enable this Bima Wahak to sell the product? And then what product to sell? If the guy is selling only life or only non-life or thing, it will be difficult to meet. So that's where first time in the last 70 years, all the insurance companies have come together, life, non-life, and said, okay, can we have one combo product which gives you certain amount of life cover, certain amount of accidental death cover, hospi cover, maybe premises like house cover, maybe cattle cover, because that area needs more of, they have a lot of cattle and all. How do you protect? So all these assets which finally result into some kind of a financial loss in case of any perils is where we are trying to see how insurance can be looked at as a financial risk mitigant in case of problems. And I think this is where the technology is going to be a big enabler to reach that last mile that we as call it. And that, I think, with the next 2-3 years is actually spearheading to that particular. See, I think we are very fortunate to have Mr. Panda as the IRDA chairman, though there was a little gap before he was appointed. But he has completely changed the thinking process of the industry, not just the regulator. Okay. And he's constantly been a driver for change. Okay. So first time when he met us, he said, what is it that? So we said the file and use is a problem. Okay. I'll get that thing. So this is what the company was expecting for last so many years. So that has immediately happened. The first message he gave is that I am not going to look more on the regulatory part of it. That you guys have to manage within the regulatory framework which is there. But I'm going to look at the D part, which is probably missing since now. Because IRDA is also D, which is a developmental part of it. And there he came up with all these wonderful he has got a advantage because he was already with DFS. He has seen the complete advancement of the banking segment through the banking correspondent, right up to the last mile, what we now call it as the last mile. He has been in the thick and thing of what happened with Jandhan accounts, JAM, what is called the Jandhan mobility and all that. So how that thing has helped the masses at the local level. So I think he brings a lot of his expertise in that managing the DFS part of it and seeing the change what he himself brought it when he was in the DFS, and now looking at what were the things required by the insurance industry and how it can be fastened at a way. They have also constituted something called as the RRC, which is the Regulation Review Committee. So, what are the regulations? How do you simplify too many regulations in the last 20-22 years? How do you simplify, bring it into a working kind of a simple kind of a thing and getting it done? The thought process is also how do we get into more manufacturer and distributor. So one is the manufacturer side. So you have these companies which are already there. But does the company need something like a regional insurer or maybe a segmental insurer? Somebody who's specialized into, say, agri. India, even today, is a huge agri-based kind of economy. Do you need a insurer who's only into agri, just like you have a standalone health companies? So that's a fantastic thing. Maybe there could be a very big guy who's but a regional guy. He would like to do only in south or maybe in east or something one. So how can that help? And because they have a huge customer base, and when I say customer base, they are already selling some product or services. How can that be made use of to do insurance? So whole lot of I would say it is a completely revolutionizing the entire landscape, right from the manufacturer of the product to the distributor of the product. And this thing is something which, the moment it really takes off, it is just in a nascent stage. There are still things to be worked out. But once it takes up in the later half of this year, I think the country should see a huge surge in the pickup of insurance, whichever way you look at it. See, data, especially the DPDA which act which has just got passed, I think it's a very, very important thing for a place like India. For a simple reason, we have a habit of giving our own data to everybody and anybody. Okay. For example, you go to a restaurant for say a dinner, and at the end of the day, he gives you a feedback form. But along with the feedback form, there is so much of information he takes from you, which you yourself probably don't know where he is going to use it or what is he going to use it for. Now, this is your personal data. This is something which is personal to you. It is not something which is available anywhere in the environment. Especially with the life and the non-life insurance companies, we have to keep, at least the insurance have to keep one thing in mind, is that we have the most latest data of the customer for the longest period of time. So if you've taken a life insurance policy for 15, 20, 30 whole life, you keep on updating the data of the customer, and you have the data which is probably no other agency would have that kind of updated data of the customer which is there. That customer gives you the data with full confidence that you will not misuse it. You will not ensure that this data gets leaked out something which can have some kind of problem. So I am personally of the opinion that the DDAP Act which has come is fantastic. We have to understand the logic of why it has been brought in, number one. Number two, what is it that the insurance companies are supposed to do with this data? How are they supposed to protect it and ensure that you use the data only for the purpose for which the customer has given you the data? I think government has done its job. Regulator is continuously ensuring that these things are put in place. I think now the responsibility is completely on the insurance companies and those guys who are using this data. For example, there are some companies who do outsourcing of certain activities. The data goes out. So how do you ensure that the data which is going out is not being misused or not being leaked? And again comes back. And this entire today data is like oil. Okay. So anybody who's got the maximum data is the most richest guy in that, and you can use it in so many ways. But how do you use it for the purpose of what the customer has given you and protects it till he is there? I think is very, very important. I think this awareness, I think, will now slowly come up more and more as the notification comes in, and we are in a position to make this things in place. So each company have already started putting DLP, which is data loss protection, things in place, devices in place to ensure that the data doesn't go out to the wrong person or to the wrong entity. How do we ensure that if somebody is trying to steal data, how do you protect it? Okay, including ransomware. Ransomware is basically to ensure that the data is being taken care of. So these are some of the measures, I think, which the government is putting through, and the regulator is also trying to get things worked out in a manner where we are now protecting the data. I'm very happy with that. Personally, very happy with that act which has come in.